Welcome, Earthlings, non-Earthlings, ridiculous ones and soon-to-be ridiculous ones. You are right on time for the ridiculous hour, the only time the show ever airs, which is now. Welcome to the now, everyone. As usual and always, we film the show 2 months in advance. So we are actually filming this or doing the show April 12th. 2016, and it is airing February 12th, 2016. If you can't get your mind around that, it's a space-time continuum. That's not what the show's about today. It's not about time travel. That's for another time. Today, we're going to be talking to two of my favorite people. Two people that are really educated on plant medicines and ceremony and helping people heal through such and whatnot. So first, I'm going to bring on my beautiful co-host, Brooke Tarrer. How are you?
Hello.
So we were just talking on the test with our other guest, the guest that's going to be on the show today, about shaman and the definition of shaman. And you don't really prefer that term, right?
No.
But it was an interesting definition. I'm going to read it real quick just because I thought it was fun. So shaman is a person regarded as having access to and influence in the world of good and evil spirits, especially among some peoples of Northern Asia and North America. Typically, such people enter a trance state during a ritual and practice divination and healing. So does that not all apply to you?
No, it's what I'm into, obviously, but no, my teacher explains, well, he basically states that, a shaman will never really call himself a shaman.
That's true.
So, yeah.
I like that. It's kind of like a guru. When you hear somebody calling themselves a guru a lot, my warning flags go up. And it doesn't mean they're not great or they're not a guru, but my warning flags go up. So at any rate, so thanks for co-hosting today with me.
For sure.
And by the way, everyone, we've had lots of technical difficulties in our tests today. So if anything goes wrong, just keep refreshing your link. Looks like we got all our issues figured out, but none of us are tech people here. I think we got it worked out, though. So now I'm going to introduce a guy I met, years ago through following Teal Swan, and him and I have become super tight, and he's been to the farm, and I don't know, we are just soul brothers. We two guys that don't mind saying we love each other to each other. He's just an amazing guy. He goes by Big River John Malotky, everyone.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
I used to know how to do the cheer things. Wait, hold on, Johnny.
All right,
Yay. Google effects are not working fast enough.
No, I see some like dog eyes over there and a cake.
Well, yeah, I can do that, but I can't do the I can't do the cheers. Oh well. Okay, so I'm clicking my stuff. Nice.
Okay, now this is a ridiculous hour.
Now let's
It's hard to have a conversation when. That's funny.
Hullabaloo. Johnny, where are you coming to us today from?
I'm from my home in Seattle, Washington right now, which is, I travel the world. Right now I call Seattle, Washington home. I'm here, I'm here to work with the right people, and it's becoming really obvious to me why I'm in Seattle right now. And and I'll be in Houston soon. So I always have a good time with you guys down in Houston.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, John, I got a place for you to stay. And you were like, dude, I've got like dozens of places to stay. you got to be following here. Yeah, and we can't wait to have you. So let's go ahead and give away the dates of that on when you're going to be in Houston so that people can start making.
Yeah. I'm going to be in Houston March 19th to the 27th.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be doing Kambo circles out of Javier's place. It's called the Bel Air Detox. Yeah, Bel Air Detox Wellness Center. So,
yeah. Great little spot down in Bel Air. They do coffee enemas, among other things. They specialize.
All right. Looks like Joseph Zenner froze. I don't know if people can see me or if I'm froze too. I'm assuming he's running it, so I'll wait till he comes back.
Okay, we're back. Sorry about that, everyone.
So when you drop off, am I still live, or how does this work?
I'm not certain. I think you might be. So don't get naked or anything.
Yeah, I was going to say, I start picking my nose or something.
Okay. So I'm gonna go real quick into the event and just put if any issues, click refresh. Yeah. So what John and I were talking about. There we go. So what John and I were talking about was doing a private ceremony for maybe a little smaller group, and you were saying 3 days would sound like a good plan for that?
Yeah, when you do Kambo for the first time, I try to do it in a 3-day ceremony. I've noticed that if I just give it to somebody once, what it does is it like pops the lid off the paint can and forces you to look at some things, and life can get very difficult. So it really helps to do some integration and do the Kambo 3 times in a row. So for first timers, I always recommend the 3-day ceremony.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the Kambo?
Not sure.
What are you getting us into, Johnny? What are you getting us into?
What am I getting you into?
Well, I'm gonna do it, whatever. If you tell me, hey, Joseph, you want to try something? I'm going to be like, yeah, what is it?
Okay. Yeah, I know. We've had some pretty good adventures together, my friend. So what Kambo is it's the venom of the giant monkey tree frog in the Amazon rainforest. And what's interesting about this venom and how it works is it has a whole bunch of bioactive peptides in its venom that has the DNA material that can unlock any cell in the human body. And there's absolutely no reason why this frog would need these peptides in its venom to, keep it from getting eaten by a snake in the Amazon. There's no reason for it. It definitely is like a gift from God, right? That this venom exists. And it's interesting that pretty much all the tribes in the Amazon have almost the same story. They all claim they originated it, but these tribes were thousands of miles apart, and it all showed up in all of their cultures around the same time. And they all have almost the same story, where like a dead shaman appeared as a frog in an ayahuasca journey and told them how to do it by burning the skin and putting the poison into the lymph system, which here, I'll show you. I did Kambo last week. You see the points here? So you burn the skin and put it on the lymph system, which is a really kind of a strange way to apply a medicine, right? When you think about it, right?
And real quick, Johnny, I just want to break in real quick. So it is a permanent mark, and I asked you this, you don't have to put it on your shoulder. You can, go put it on your butt or whatever.
You can put it anywhere on your body if you want it hidden more. And like, if you look next to mine, I've got some marks next to me that are about 1.5 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's like a really light white. And then this one, like here, this one is from an initiation ceremony I did. And I actually turned it into body art. I had a frog tattoo put over. I had her put the burns in an oval. So you can, that's an option too. I've done like tree of lives on people, Merkavas and, circles. You can turn it into body art too if you want to, right? So, yeah, it is a permanent scar. So if you want to hide it somewhere on your body, if you're a woman and you don't want it, showing up, right? You can put it anywhere, really. So that's something to consider. But yeah, so what, it's kind of interesting. I did Kambo. If you remember, Teal Swan did Kambo and blogged about it. And I was actually at Teal's house the day before her and Sarb went there. And she was telling me about it. And I was just like, wow, okay. And then right after she got done, she messaged me and said, you got to do this. You got to do this. I was like, okay. And then I went and did it right away. And you know what it did for me is I was the kind of guy, you know me well, Joseph, I was the kind of guy I would do anything for anybody so that they would love me. And what Kambo did for me was it defined my boundaries instantly. That whole gray area, like it was black and white, and I stopped letting people pull me outside my boundaries. And I was just like, holy crap, I got to learn this stuff. This is incredible. And then, Kambo changed my life. And every time I've done it, it's done something different on me. And like for example, when I went to when I decided to quit my job and do this stuff full time, you know, all the fears kick in, right? Like, what the fuck am I doing, right? And like, am I really quitting my job? And you know, what the hell? And all the fears start to kick in. And I went to my best friend Irina, and I said, you got to give me Kambo. And she's like, what? No, I can't do that, you know, and stuff like that. And then she did. And instantly, when I came back out of it, I was like, yeah, the universe has my back. This is going to totally work. And you know, I felt the medicine swirling in my head, and it took away those fears, right? And I came out of that Kambo trip knowing, yeah, the universe has my back. Everything's going to be fine. And, you know, that was a long time ago.
The fun thing.
Yeah.
About that it's dangerous. Is it?
What was that?
Yeah. Hold on. We've got a little. I don't know why we have that. Hold on one sec. Okay. I think that might have gotten rid of the echo. Go ahead.
So no, I've asked around about it, you know, before the interview. You had talked to me about it a little, but everyone that I've really talked to has basically said, you know, no, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. Can you give me an idea? Is that true? Is it not true? Is it possibility that it's dangerous?
No, it's not dangerous. I mean, there is, if you look at my website, bigriverjohn.com, I've got a Kambo tab, and I talk about the dangers. Like, it is danger. It's safe for like 99% of the people, and the people that are not, it's not safe for, I've got it listed on my website. And the main things are like, one of the things it does is it dilates all of your arteries in your body and raises your blood pressure, right? So people that have had like organ transplants where, you know, they have tissue like that, you know, that wouldn't be safe for them. Or people that have had like bypass surgery, it actually could like blow the sutures, right? Things like that. That's not safe for them. But it's a very limited amount of people. And I talk to everybody before I give it to them, right? To make sure it is safe for them. And, but for the average person, even somebody with like high blood pressure, you know, stuff like that, it's safe for them. And if I don't feel comfortable giving it to them, that's part of it, right? Like, I'm certified with the IAKP. There's a protocol we follow, and I would, even if you don't like come to me, I would say to make sure that you go to like an IAKP certified professional, because like that is something we're making sure of. You know, there hasn't been any kind of accident with an IAKP practitioner. Like there has been, like some of the articles in the news, right, where somebody's given it to them to themselves and they've died, right? There's been like somebody in France that happened to recently. Well, that was somebody who did it themselves, right? It's like, okay, you know, buy Kambo, do it yourself. No, I'm not going to ever recommend somebody does that, right?
I think it's important when you talk about, you know, both Kambo and other in plant medicine. Not that Kambo is a plant medicine, more of an animal medicine, but I think it's important to go through a ceremony, to go through somebody that is familiar with it, whether it be a shaman or someone that, you know, knows about it. There's a great documentary on ayahuasca where, you know, they took 8 people, I think it was 8, into the jungle. It's called Sacred Science. Have you seen that one?
No.
Amazing. You know, you saw it. Yeah, when one of the guys dies, but I mean, he was in stage 4, whatever, you know, cancer. So it happens. he probably would have died anyway, it looked like. So my point is, though, and like what I say for people, when people ask me about ayahuasca a lot, because I've tried it multiple times, hosted quite a few adventures in that, and I tell people all the time, I don't recommend it to anyone at all. Like, if you are not called to it and something is nudging at you to explore it and look into it, don't let me be the one to tell you it's awesome, go try it, because it is awesome for most people, and for some people it's terrifying. I know we've swapped subjects from Kambo to ayahuasca, but going back to Kambo, what is the worst case emotionally? Like, let's not talk, you covered physically and dangers, but what is the worst case emotionally? Does it ever drop someone into a depression or like really cause emotional trouble, or is it always in the other direction?
You know what it does? Here, I'll kind of give you an example. Like when people say you need to balance your body, mind, and spirit, body, mind, and soul, right? The truth that I've found is that your soul is actually perfect, right? That's pre-manifested energy. That's perfect. You don't need to balance your soul.
You're talking about me, right, John? My soul's perfect. I mean,
your soul's perfect.
Obviously, not everybody's perfect. So you're just talking about me?
No, everybody's soul, right, is perfect. I've seen that. And what happens is when you come into this life, you have to find techniques that serve you to survive in this planet, right? So your emotional body and your physical body get out of balance, right? So, like how Teal talks about, like, you have to pay attention to your emotions, right? We're not really taught how to navigate that, right? We're told to ignore our emotions, right? So when that starts to happen, when you ignore those emotions, I don't like this, but I got to keep doing this, right? And then you start manifesting physical problems in your physical body because it all has to be in balance somehow, right? That's kind of how I see how all this works. When it gets out of balance, then you have health issues. You've got emotional issues, right? What Kambo does, and I've seen this from my perspective with my gifts, is I really see the Kambo spirit like align with your soul, and it really kind of like snaps them together, your emotional body and your physical body. And then so you purge like things out of your physical body, but you also purge emotional things. And it's almost like full-on integration work. Like I see people just screaming for like 45 minutes, and it is difficult to hold space. You really need somebody like me or nature to really hold space for you, right? When you're processing like decades of emotional shit and it's coming out. And I can speak on that from personal issues. I did Kambo once where I was screaming into the bucket for like 45 minutes straight, and I was processing. It was like Kambo stopped time and supercharged my brain, and I was like processing like 1,000 shitty childhood memories a minute, and I was screaming them into the bucket. And then when I came back from that Kambo journey, it was like the stories are still there, but they lost their sting. It was kind of like doing like 10 years of inner child work in an afternoon. So it actually like stopped time. I processed, I purged, and then like the pain of that story kind of went away. And then I stopped manifesting that pain in my life. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But it's you doing the work, right? It's the plant, these medicines helping you do your work. And you could easily go back to those bad habits, right? I mean, you have the choice, like, but I don't want to suffer that again, right? So it changes my life. It's like, wow, I learned this. I'm moving on to something even more awesome, to the next awesome lesson, right? I mean, these medicines are like your teacher. Like Kambo, like has that way of like, I call Kambo like a healing medicine. It like snaps those things together, and then it forces you to look at it, right? If you don't look at it, you'll get misaligned again. Or you can look at it and integrate it and like, oh my God, I see why I did this my whole life. And then like ayahuasca, I call that like a teacher medicine, right? Where you get the visions and you're like, oh my God, this is where I need to go in my life and things like that, right? And they all work together somehow. And you need them, right? Like I don't drink ayahuasca all the time. I only do it like when I'm called to, right? It's like, oh my, Like I had to give up this woman I loved last fall, and I was totally in love with her. And I had to take a look at that. So I went to go drink ayahuasca. And why I created the you know, and that was a teacher medicine.
So do you recommend, do you have a protocol to help people post-journey, like to integrate, you know, and make sure that this isn't a wasted journey in a way, like, you know, to help them keep that alignment you talk about?
I usually tell people to stay offline for the rest of the day and kind of stay by themselves, because, you know, really, like, checking your Facebook likes and stuff after something like that is really a bad idea. Checking your emails, staying offline. And I do, like, I like, if I'm doing like a retreat where people are staying with me, I will, like, do some of, like, Teal's completion process with them, where, like, they need to talk about something and kind of need somebody to hold space while they're integrating. Yeah, but most people, it depends what your practice is, right? You want to go meditate or whatever your practice is, to kind of do that, but do it yourself, right?
Cool. A couple questions. Okay, this is probably a silly question, but I've just been curious ever since I first heard about Kambo. Immediately my mind went to, you know, I'm sure everyone knows about, you know, licking the back of a toad. That's what I thought.
All right.
Because, I mean, that's where the Kambo comes from. That's two totally separate things, right?
Yes.
Because
that's
okay,
a whole different frog and toad. Yeah.
Gotcha. So, okay, so they're, as long as those are separate, so there's like no visions, nothing like that.
No,
right?
there's no psychoactive material inside a Kambo. The only time I have had visions, but like I've left my body. My body's rebooted during the healing process, where I've actually have like an out of body experience. But every time is different, right? But that's not from a psychoactive material. That's more like your guides are like, hold on, we got to reboot you, poof, pull you out. You actually reboot, and then they stick you back in. You know, so. But there's no journey like an ayahuasca journey. Like that, it's just physical healing and emotional healing, hard on. The process really is not pleasant. This isn't a recreational drug at all. The hour that you have the medicine on you, it is very difficult. It's very painful. But the reason why people keep doing it is because when you come out of it and you come out of that integration, you're like, oh my God, I feel amazing. My life is amazing. And I've seen people, like, their lives have completely changed within days afterwards. Like, if you look at some of, like, the people on my website, my what do you call them? They leave like a comment, you know, a testimonial. You know, some of my new friends here in Seattle, you know, they've completely changed their lives, you know, gotten out of relationships. It gave them that boost to actually, your life kind of changes, and the old life doesn't make sense anymore. You can't stay in that crappy situation, right? You know, you got to quit that job. You need to end that relationship that no longer serves. And that's not easy, but then all of a sudden you see it from a new perspective, when you snap yourself back together, like, oh, I have to do this. It just makes sense now.
All right.
So if you want to stay in the matrix and keep your 9-to-5 job, maybe just this isn't for you.
Exactly, because life can change.
When I did a toxic cleanse. I lost 40 pounds in 6 weeks. I've been toxic cleanse coaching people since. I went to a Nassim Hermin workshop around the same time, spent 4 days with him. He's an amazing physics guru. And I just went back to engineering after that, and I was a consultant, you know, and so everything changed for me. And I don't know how to say it other than I didn't care anymore. Like, I still cared about people's lives because people's lives were on the line with, you know, what I was consulting them to do, but I didn't care about my job enough to take it seriously enough. And I knew I had to leave. I knew immediately. I mean, I remember looking around at the refinery going, where did this come from? Like, this is different than the refinery I used to work at. Like, when did this change? And I knew in my heart I had to leave, and I left quick. Like I was out quick, like jumped out of the plane without a chute, and burned through my 401k in about a year and a half, and struggled for quite a few years, and now I'm back okay again financially. But yeah, it was crazy because I had no choice. Like I could not stay doing what I was doing. It just wasn't an option for me.
Yeah, I was the same way, Joseph. I worked for about 2 months after doing Kambo, and I was the same way. Like I would get like some ridiculous new deadline from my boss, and I'd be like, oh, okay, well, which of the other 10 things that I have to do today do I not do? And I'd be like, oh, no, you got to do that too. And I'd be like, well, if I do this, then, just pointing out the obvious, lunacy of corporate America, where I'd point out like, oh, okay, so your boss just asked for this, right? Well, if I give it to you today, it's going to be rushed and it probably won't be accurate. How about if I give it to you like on Friday, kind of thing? And then I can actually give you some numbers that we can be proud of instead of rushing this. And at the same time, when I take away like from our other customers who are expecting me to do work, right, we're going to piss off some customers, and just point out the obvious, right? And I would start doing that kind of stuff while I was working, So
you were going to get fired even if you didn't quit. Is what you were doing.
Eventually, yeah.
And what did you do, John?
Oh, I kept the network running for a humongous insurance company. Yeah, that's exactly what I incarnated here to do, right? That's just it too, right? When you start really tapping into like who your soul really is, and you're just like, I didn't incarnate here to keep, networks secure for a big ass insurance company, right? It's like, no, I'm here to do a lot more than that. And then you can't do that anymore, right? The ridiculousness of the matrix, like you say.
Yeah.
Are there a lot of people that have come to you that, have had this effect, that they've left their jobs, haven't been able to stay within the matrix?
Yes. Well, more, not so much like job wise, because unfortunately they still believe they need money. It's more like around relationships or being who they are. Like I have a good friend who was like a closet lesbian for a couple of years. And then all of a sudden, like within like a week after doing Kambo, she had a girlfriend and didn't care, things like that, right? Start really living who they really are, where they've been denying it, right? Kind of stuff, more of that kind of stuff. Until they really believe, like Joseph believes, I'll be fine without a job, or like me, right? Then you got to believe it before it can really manifest, truly believe it.
I know for me, my reason for doing Kambo when you come to town, which I have not done yet, is that I've been trying to get more in my heart space, and I intuitively know it. I've read it. I mean, I know, and they say, this is the longest 18 inches in the universe, right? To go from here to here. And intuitively, I know about the heart space. I get there. I'm not saying I haven't been there, but like generally I live in my head, and I think experientially, this will be big for me in that way.
Mm-hmm. I believe so too.
You had another question?
We're 2 hours, right?
Fire away. We got plenty. But let's do this. Let's close out Kambo. So if you have a question about Kambo, post it in the Facebook group under questions at the Facebook event. We'll close out Kambo, move on to some other medicines and plants, and we'll even talk about Tantra a little bit because John did that.
If anybody, maybe without posting comments, if you want to like visit my website, it's bigriverjohn.com. There's a Kambo tab, and I pretty much spell out like what everything is about Kambo, and I found that answers like 99% of your questions, like how it works, the procedures, what to expect. So if you're just like wondering, what'll this do for me? Just take a look at that and read that before you post a question. It'll probably be answered out there.
Indeed. And that link is in the Facebook event as well, if anyone wants to just click it from there. So did you have any other questions about Kambo?
Yes. Okay. So questioning, and it might be difficult for me to word this, but okay. So with ayahuasca, the way I see ayahuasca is, you're taking in consciousness of the vine, right? Okay, making sure we're on the same page. Compare that aspect with Kambo, or is this a consciousness? And then I also feel, well, just from experience, after I journey with ayahuasca, my life is completely affected. My consciousness is raised. I'm aware of so many other things. Where am I supposed to be looking, by the way? Like, I'm just, there we go. I know, I'm like, who am I looking at?
Look at John, though.
Okay. Yeah, anyhow, so conscious-wise, is it like you're taking in the consciousness of the frog, and then that's what's staying with you? Like, compare with an ayahuasca journey and seeing ayahuasca as a consciousness that stays with you after.
Yeah, sure. I always looked at ayahuasca almost being like the essence of pure love. And as it enters your body, right, it gives you those gifts of like those visions of what you really need, right? So that's kind of like how I tell myself the story of that, like what you're saying, like with the consciousness of the vine. There's definitely like Mother Ayahuasca type spirit, right? And then she's very generous and very wise and very loving, right? Kambo, there's definitely like the spirit of Kambo, and it has an intelligence. And I really know this for a fact, because every time I've given it to somebody or taken it myself, given it to myself, I get a different experience. It's the same. It could be the same medicine off the same exact stick, but it gives the person exactly what they need. And it's very compassionate. So from my perspective, like how I see the dimensions with like my God-given talents, what I see is like this Kambo spirit interacting with your soul. And it's like, okay, I'm going to like loosen this up for you so you can work on this, right? So then you take the medicine, it affects that physical part of your body, your emotional body, and it'll just release like what you can handle. It's compassionate, right? If it unlocked everything, you'd probably go insane, right? With all the suppression and masks and everything that we need to survive in this world, you can't take that all away. Right, it'll take it off in like the onion layers, right? It'll just take off enough so that you're like, oh my God, I got to look at this, right? Why I got the sore knee, whatever the story is, right? It'll work on your knee, and you'd be like, oh, that's really an effect of some childhood, blah blah blah, whatever it is in your life, and then you got to look at that. So, like, to answer your question, I see the Kambo spirit interacting with your soul to kind of negotiate, like, this is what we're going to do together. The medicine goes on. Those bioactive peptides actually interact with the cells in your physical body, unlocking that emotional, whatever that emotional constraint is that you've been holding on to, and then you got to look at it. And then you change your life, and you're amazing.
Cool. So in the corporate world, I was a troubleshooter, problem solver for like chemical plants and refineries. So my brain kind of works like that. So I think I figured this one out, Johnny. So the frogs all showed up to all these different tribes at the same time. It sounds to me like they're extraterrestrial frogs from another race that have come to Earth to support us.
I have no idea that history, but it's possible. Anything's possible.
Possibility is true, though, correct? Do not know that this is not true.
I cannot deny that fact. I just know that, yeah, this it's really interesting too. If you look at how everything's kind of unlocking now in this state of enlightenment, right? I mean, these people have been using these frogs in the Amazon for thousands of years, and all of this knowledge really came out like it was really first discovered in the missionaries, like in the 1920s. That's the first time people observed people doing this. And the first man that brought it out of the jungle was Peter Gorman. And that was just to like the cities in Brazil, right? And that was in the 1990s. So really, even though this is native to the white people in Brazil, it's only been since the 1990s. And really, I kind of see like the spirit of Kambo saying like, okay, this is needed for like the awakening of the planet. The people need this medicine. And it just came out now at this time when all this knowledge is coming out. Yeah, and it's not an accident.
Right. I mean, the planet probably wasn't ready for it on a global scale. I mean, the people that were doing it in the tribes were ready for it, but the general pop wasn't ready. And now that, the last few decades, we've been moving into the age of Aquarius and whatnot. I think, planetarily, we're more ready for this. So, and here's a direct question for you, John. Can you deny that you are not from another planet?
Oh man, I don't know how to answer that. I'm actually
I
aware.
worded it with double negative, so you're not even sure which is a yes or no. Like, what did you say? Can you deny that you're not from another planet? What?
Thanks to the help of Mother Ayahuasca, I've really gotten in touch with like my soul's intention, and like I'm just an aspect of my overall soul, and I kind of know what my overall soul's here to do, right? So I could talk for way more than 2 hours on just like what my soul's intention, but yeah, I'm here to definitely help, and and here I am. I'm just me, the friend that you know and love, my friend.
Cool. So I did not, yeah, and all of that, I did not hear you deny that. Clarify.
I'll just avoid that topic a little.
There's no denial of Big River. And by the way, I'm not denying that I may be from another planet as well. I'm not sure exactly where I'm from, but I'm pretty sure I'm a gypsy, some sort.
Uh-oh, it looks like you froze again. I have no idea if I'm live or not, but I guess we'll wait for Joseph to come back. Maybe I should tell Joseph Zenner stories while he's offline.
Ah, I hear you.
I figured, you know what I'm going to do next time you go offline? I'm going to start telling stories of some of the shenanigans we've done together, my friend.
That would be awesome. Let's do that. So it looks like to you, you stay online. So hopefully we're still, yeah. And I did just check the Facebook event. Maybe that caused us some trouble, but I don't think so. I was checking the Facebook event to make sure we didn't have any questions posted. I don't see any questions. Yeah, there's no questions about Kambo.
Okay.
So we'll just keep moving on. Is there anything you want to say to close out Kambo as we move into other topics?
Boy, that's kind of a loaded question. I'm really passionate about Kambo. I guess I want to say you really want to make sure you do Kambo with somebody who's very intimate with this medicine, not just somebody who's just done it and like, wow, that was easy. I can burn skin and put this on. You really want somebody you trust to really hold space for you while you're doing a journey like this, because you unlock some major shit in your life, and you want somebody that's strong enough to hold space, somebody that you resonate with, not just some buddies that you like hang out with and party with, right? So, you know, the IAKP, it's IAKP.org, has a list of all their practitioners. But yeah, you want somebody who's really intimate with this medicine, or any medicine that you decide to work with.
Right on. And what's the best way for people to contact you if they have interest in doing this work in the Houston area when you're here, March 19th through, what was it, the 27th, or in Seattle? You know, most
my website is Big River John, one word, bigriverjohn.com. And I've got my contact information and my schedule on there and all that kind of happy stuff.
Can you speak a little bit to the, I don't remember her name, but the female connection? You said you were telling me that that you found somebody to kind of balance the masculine feminine to work with in Seattle. Is she the one you're bringing to Houston, by the way?
No. Her name is Ginny. And we're kind of actually like working a little more separate these days.
Oh, okay.
We're kind of really learning, like we do Kambo quite a bit differently. And the woman I'm bringing, she's a swooping eagle, and you guys are gonna fall in love with her. She's like one of these young mystic people who just fucking know everything, and you can talk to her about anything. You guys are going to eat her up and just love her to death when I bring her to Houston.
Nice. One of these crystal kids that are like young 20s, and they seem to know everything that we had to work like decades and decades and ceremonies to get to what they group like we're born with.
And I really see the balance of this, because like a lot of these people are such amazing dreamers, but they don't have like the experiences like you and I do, Joseph, where like I believe I can do anything. They don't see that. So I really see these partnerships like this with like men like us and these people really working well together to really make these dreams come true as this age unfolds.
Yeah, indeed. Like our pyramid building group, and for those that want to find it, it's on Facebook called Pyramid Building Time. And we've assembled some geniuses in there, like Pat Flanagan, Nassim Haramein's top 2 guys, Dan Winter, Marty Leeds. Like I could just keep naming geniuses, Jeff Mayday. Like there's all these like Travis Hammond, Adam Smith. I got to name a few more, but there's just amazing geniuses in that group that I have no doubt we're going to build a pyramid, like, and big. And I think it's probably going to make Giza look like a little GIMP pyramid. Maybe not that big. It's going to be freaking big. And I mean, I've been a part of a lot of big, huge projects. I've built, I've been a part of building $1 million platforms in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. So like, I know things are possible. Like we can do stuff with ingenuity, and so I think with a lot of our belief in, I'm going to call it non-reality, all this stuff that people think is impossible. The word impossible is I'm possible. Everything's possible, so. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think we can. There's nothing we're not going to be able to do moving forward already now.
Yeah,
indeed. Okay, so I think we've covered Kambo pretty well. I'm excited to try it for the first time. Yeah, I'm like you. I got really intrigued when Teal got into it because she kind of went into it to not to disprove it, but because she was like, it can't possibly be as good as all the hype. And then after she did it, she was like, yeah. It's legit. And so I started looking into it, and I was thrilled to hear you were not only, had done it, but facilitating it, because I knew eventually I'd play with it when I heard that. So it's great to have you coming to that. Okay, so where do we want to go from here? We're kind of open. We still have some plant medicines to talk about. We talked a little bit about ayahuasca. I'd love to get into Tantra, however you want to say it. Let's talk plant medicines first. Do you want to talk ayahuasca?
Yeah, let's do that. I think that would work.
You want to give a quick intro for us since you played with it a bit?
Played with it. As
they call it, got on the roof. Do y'all call it that too?
No.
Oh, in our little group, we call it getting on the roof. Yeah.
We call it going through the portal, maybe. It is basically, I guess, the short version, very short, is, when we go into ceremony, my maestro calls the altar, we consider that the portal, our portal, and his music that he sings, it's from our ancient ancestors basically, and it's mantras that have come to him, through them. It's I don't even have words for it. It's
no, I know
incredible.
Exactly what you mean. My shaman, when my shaman sings, she's not mine. When the shaman I play with sings, it's magical. Like there's something going on. Like it's deeper than just singing, and there's something to that words of the song. I wonder if they're the same songs.
They're not even. Well, they're words, I guess, but they're not. I don't understand them.
Yeah, I know in Spanish to understand some of the words, and some of them are very simple words repeated over and over again. But a lot of them, I got no idea.
Well, he talks about how it's basically the songs are coming from them, and they're from the ancient times, and that's kind of activating our memories, our hearts. But I've had some beautiful experiences where I understood my connection to him, because as he was singing, his face was basically becoming all of these maestros from other lifetimes, that I've had. And it was incredible because there was one where I just started crying because it was this Asian maestro that I had from sometime, and I recognized him. And I knew him. And it was amazing. But the really neat part that I learned was that his brow line and his nose line that was the one trait that I had given myself to be able to identify my teacher in each lifetime. So they all kept that, but then, had different shamanic faces. It was just, there's no words, I don't think. Ayahuasca is for me where it's at. You know, I do try Kambo.
From my perspective, like when I'm in an ayahuasca ceremony, I always see like the lineage of teachers behind the shaman that's like running the circle. It's like they're like lined up behind each other, and you'll see like when like an Icaro comes through, you'll actually see it like generate and then come to that. You'll actually see that energy come, and then the song will come out. I see that very clearly, like what you're saying. I can totally confirm from my perspective that that's how it works.
That's amazing.
Nice. What I remember from one specific journey I went on, you know, going into ayahuasca journeys, usually the shamans will tell you to clean up your diet. You know, they'll give you a list of things like not to eat, and I was cleansing pretty nicely. You know, fruits, vegetables, smoothies for like 3-4 days. I was very clean going in, and you know, in general, I mean, every ceremony is different. A lot of them are in the woods. Some of them, this one was at the farm in the living room. Everything's black, and everyone's got their bucket to puke in, but they do let you go to the bathroom. So I was in the bathroom when the urge to puke came on, and lights hurt, so the lights are off, and so I puked in the toilet, and I remember wanting to turn on the light to see what my puke looked like. I don't know why, like I had to see it, and I turned on the light, and the light hurt my eyes, but I got adjusted to it. And I remember looking down into it, and I got like really close to it, and it was black, thick, and nasty. And I remember like my engineering brain kicked in, and I was like, I've got to test this for toxicity. Like I got to get a sample and send it off to the lab, because I still want to do that, and I didn't do it at that time, but I still want to do it because I don't see how that couldn't be toxins like that. I don't know what else that could be other than toxic material that my body was removing. And I think if we can test that purge and find toxins in it, wouldn't that prove definitively that we're removing stuff, especially if it's really high levels of things like mercury or lead or different, you know, neurotoxins or whatever. Yeah, so it's a way to bring science in, and I haven't done that yet, but maybe somebody will take this idea from this video and do it.
Bring your test kit to your next ceremony.
Right. It was intriguing that I hadn't put anything like that in my body. I hadn't put anything black and thick, like, and what I was looking at, I just knew intuitively that my body had pulled it out of different organs and places and put it in my stomach so that I could, you know, throw it out.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like one of my experiences where I was like, I got the science behind, like I saw more so than just the visuals or whatever. Like I saw, this is toxic shit that's coming out of me, you know?
Yeah. And from like my perspective, like sometimes when I'm watching somebody purge, I'll actually see, like I've seen it where it looked like shiny coins were coming out of their mouth while they're actually purging. And then you look, I mean, it's just like yellow fluid, but you know, you see energetically things come out. You know, I can't, I don't know how to describe it. It doesn't make sense. But yeah, purging is important, you know, for whatever you're releasing, just that act of getting that out of your body.
Indeed. Indeed. And, you know, it's not, I wouldn't say, it's definitely not fun to purge, but it's not as, for me, it wasn't at all scary. The throwing up part, I mean, some of the things you visualize are more scary than the throwing up. I mean, that's necessarily not the reason not to do it. Like, oh, I don't want to throw up. I mean, if that's your objection, then maybe it's not for you for sure. Like you're not ready. If you're not ready to just have an hour of throwing up, then you're definitely not ready for the rest that's going to come along with it.
Yeah. And it's really the feeling afterwards, right? You feel like you really accomplished something by purging it out. And yeah, I should add something too. Like I have treated like bulimic women, and they were actually afraid. I'm afraid to purge because that was like, you know, binging and purging was like something I used to do. And if anybody's going to ask that question, it's a totally different experience when you're purging like with a plant medicine like this. There isn't like, it'll be nothing like what you used to do when you binged and purged as a bulimic.
Yeah. And you know, we already mentioned, you know, I think it's really important to do it with a shaman or someone trained in it. And But then I think a lot of people that are going to be watching this video are like, okay, that's great, but I live in, Podunk, Tennessee or whatever, and where do I find a shaman? And, I don't know. Is there a national database to find someone near you?
There is. There's a website. I'll pull it up here in a second, but so we can get it out there. But there is a website that you can basically just look it up by state, and then state will list the cities of where you can find a shaman. Now, it might not be a medicine shaman. I mean, I would doubt that you would call yourself a shaman and not have some kind of medicine, but you never know. So I'll look that up and we can get that out.
And I travel. So like if we get a couple people together to make it worthwhile traveling, I will go places where I'm called. So if you want to set up a circle in Podunk, right, as you said, and you want to get like 3-4 people together and make it worthwhile for me coming, then I'll go.
Nice. But just to clarify, that's Kambo. You do not facilitate ayahuasca.
I do not. No, everything I do other medicines. I do hape and sananga with mine, and all of that stuff is legal. They're also like plant medicines, but not ayahuasca. No.
Yeah. So
Joseph's down. Let's see if he comes right back.
Had to get back on before the stories got too bad.
I'm going to tell, next time you go down, I'm going to tell about the first time we met in Atlanta.
Which one?
That was at Claremont.
I'm not sure which story you're going to tell. Maybe we'll have to get to that story regardless.
It's a good one.
Yeah, let's get to that story. But before we do that, if you are around the Houston area, or you're not, but you're willing to come to Houston, you can connect with Brooke, because she is a certified facilitator of the mother, the ayahuasca. So that's why I brought the two of y'all on. We definitely have a lot of experience, especially with ayahuasca. Sounds like between us we got probably 20 journeys. And I've hosted 12 and done 5. How many times have you journeyed?
3.
3. And Johnny?
How many times have I journeyed? Oh, Christ. It's got to be about maybe 25, I guess. Oh, hey, Joseph's down. There he is.
How many times, Johnny? I missed the answer.
About 25.
Oh, wow. Right on.
And I guess I should add too, like I've done it like in the jungle too. Like I've got a relationship with the Yawanawa tribe in the Amazon, and they actually like they do Kambo in the morning, at the river after like ayahuasca and things like that. So the two medicines actually work pretty well together if you're called to. I mean, you do want to integrate properly after any experience, but if you want to clear and then get a vision, like I've kind of found like my visions are a lot clearer after I've gotten rid of some of the hang-ups.
Cool. So speaking of sister medicines, I want to talk about my favorite now, because I love ayahuasca for what it delivers. Haven't done Kambo, can't speak to it yet, but my favorite plant medicine is San Pedro. That is my baby. Like because my favorite, well, no, I don't need to even say that about synthetics. You don't need to know my favorite synthetic, because I mostly play with plants these days. For the last decade of my life, very rarely do I touch molecules played with by man, other than eating at a restaurant where it's inevitable. But San Pedro is like, to me, the simplest way to describe it is just a way to like really communicate with Mother Nature, see the magic in plants and animals, and just feel one. I remember walking on the ground, just not walking on the ground, we're just walking normally, but I remember feeling that I was walking on a being and feeling the softness of earth under me, like, holy cow, this is a being. And I knew it intuitively that earth is a being, but like to feel that you're walking pretty much on a whale's back is like a whole different experience. And I remember this aha moment, like I was seeing, Fibonacci ratio everywhere, like, right, golden mean, like seeing the little 1.6, like how everything God, creates in the, if you don't know Fibonacci ratio, just look up golden mean, Fibonacci. And I remember thinking to myself, dude, you've been watching this freaking Fibonacci stuff on YouTube. You need to get out in the woods and in the jungle to actually experience it. Like I was guilty of watching the beauty of Mother Nature through Fibonacci ratios on YouTube videos. Like, oh, look at that seashell. But it's like, I'm watching a YouTube video about a seashell. Like, that was my big awakening. It's time to get out more.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like when you actually experience it and you have that aha moment of how it all attaches, your life will never be the same.
Yeah. And I think some people purge on San Pedro. I know I didn't. I don't think most people do. It's not at all. It's a lot more. If you're looking for something to, you're not ready to face your darkness, and it sounds like both Kambo and ayahuasca to some level are about facing darkness. You got to be willing to go through some stuff. I would say San Pedro, not necessarily. Like you don't need to be willing to go through some stuff other than loving plants.
San Pedro, yeah. San Pedro for me connected me with, nature. I know you're going to be like, you're kidding me, right? I was never really that into nature, but after San Pedro one time I was, very connected. But San Pedro as well, like ayahuasca, continued for me. Like my consciousness was very affected.
Doesn't go away.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Aya too. I mean, you finish your Aya journey and days later you're still, getting a little.
Yeah, I found I can get back into that vibration of that medicine, like in meditation, very easily after doing it a few times.
San Pedro or?
I've never done San Pedro, but ayahuasca, like when I can get myself back into that state in meditation after you kind of learn that vibration. I've never done San Pedro. I've done peyote. I don't know how that compares. I always assumed it maybe is very similar.
What are your thoughts on peyote? I mean, that's a good one to speak to for a little bit. I did that once in Mexico, and then took a plane home on it.
Of course you did.
It was my last night in Monterrey, Mexico. We went to this wedding, and it was an amazing time. And the last night before I catch a flight the next morning, this guy's like, "Hey, you want some of this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm not gonna fly with it, get checked with it." But I'm like, I'm just gonna do it and get on the plane. Like, why not? To be fair to myself, I was in a really weird space. I was kind of in a tough point in life, financially, emotionally. I had a really rough breakup with the love of my life. So, but at that moment in time, I wasn't in a bad place. I was just I don't care. Like, I'm just like, fuck it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? And I didn't feel a whole lot. Like, it was weird. I didn't feel a whole lot. I've done mushrooms on a plane before, and that was amazing.
Oh my God, I would love that.
But you got to have balls of steel to go through airport security on either one of those. So I'm not, I'm not recommending it. My balls are of steel.
Oh, you're always interesting, Joseph.
Don't do what I say. Or what I do. Yeah, let's talk about mushrooms a little bit. Do we want to talk about peyote a little more? Do you have anything else to say before we close that one out? We're good, Johnny? Any experiences with peyote?
I guess just kind of like what we said before. I mean, these things really shouldn't be recreational. Like, I mean, really, you want to be for this. Yeah, I mean, after like jumping on a plane, right? I mean, it's like, holy crap. But yeah, you really should have a purpose and like seeking these answers that these plant teachers offer, right?
Yeah. One thing my master says all the time is.
Oh, looks like we lost them.
Okay, we're back. So what is it your maestro says all the time?
I'm sorry, I should just call him by name. His name is David Dale. One thing that he says all the time is always go into any ceremony with an intention because, I mean, it's basically pointless to not have one. So.
Yeah. I'm gonna play devil's advocate on that one though, because I mean, I've been in a circle of in ayahuasca where people say they have no intention, like they want to allow the plant to provide the intention. I think there's some value in there, but I get what you're saying. Like even that is an intention.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think sometimes it is okay to go into a plant ceremony as my intention is to get whatever the plant wants to give me without saying I want to deal. Because the thing I think is if you say like I want to deal with getting over my last heartbreak or whatever, you may go deal with something from your childhood and not even touch the heartbreak because that's just wasn't where the plant wanted to take you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that being said, if you have something you want to deal with and you set the intention in the ceremony, there's a really good chance you're gonna hit your mark, right?
Yeah. And you know what I've noticed too, Joseph, like what you said, like I went in, the last time I saw Mother Aya was after I let go a woman I was deeply in love with. And it really showed me about how I don't accept myself. The plant medicine showed me how things I do not accept about myself. And it was what I needed to look at. And like my experience, a lot of people could have like called it a bad trip. You hear people, I'll never do that again. It was so freaking scary. And really it shows you what you need to see. You have to really be open to embrace whatever it shows you at. It'll show you your deepest fears. And once you work through them, it's a beautiful thing.
Nice. Yeah. And I think, you know, the more you play with these medicines, even pretty much anything we do on the healing path is related to self-love. And as you get, you know, as you upgrade your self-love to certain levels, there's going to be things that you got to purge. And I think one of the frustrating things for a lot of people getting into a spiritual path, especially I speak for myself mostly, is that I used to say like, you can get on a spiritual path and just go up. Like you don't have to go into your darkness. You don't have to go face your inner child stuff. You don't have to go backwards like therapists like to take you backwards. I don't know that that's true anymore. For me, it wasn't true. Like I did have to go into my shit. You know, I had to go deep into my stuff I was buried or hiding. But I think ultimately we're doing all these processes to upgrade our own self-love. And once you get self-love, you can never be lonely again. And then you're ready for a relationship with someone else. I think so many people are looking for someone else to complete them, you know, and like my dad's a marriage counselor and he says, you know, math doesn't work in relationships. It's not 50% of me and 50% of you makes 100% of our relationship. It's like 100% of me and 100% of you. Now we're ready to have a 100% relationship.
And that's if you want a relationship.
That's if you want a relationship, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
For me, I mean, I always wanted a relationship. Always, you know, growing up, played house, wanted kids, all that. Once my spiritual path began, I mean, I'm thinking, God, I never had a kid because I can't imagine my life any other way. I mean, this is absolutely my journey, and to me, having somebody else in a relationship with me that would just completely hinder my path, you know, completely.
Yeah.
So that's just.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I've been out of a relationship now for almost 2 months, and I'm working on. I'm doing my best to stay single. I haven't flirted with anybody. I haven't been on a date, and I think for me, it's like the thing I'm missing is physical touch. You know, I don't have like any physical touch in my life, and that's a big thing that's missing for me.
Hey, do you have cuddle parties down in Houston?
We do, and
I love.
I'm really not. You know, they say you're called to whatever. Like, I'm not called to that. Like, that's not. I do have an intention of setting up someone to cuddle with. You know, in the future.
Yeah.
A cuddle party, or what is a cuddle buddy? Like
cuddle party.
Cuddle party. I mean. A cuddle party is when a lot of people get together with the intention of touch, and there's always permissions, and there's ground rules and safe words, and you can kind of, you know, cuddle with whoever you want safely, and it's generally, it doesn't, I mean, at least ours, the ones I know about in Houston don't lead to big orgies or sex parties. No. Just cuddling. You know, it's just touch and healing through touch.
Yeah. And they say like like your touch tank is low. Like I heard that in you. Like I like that physical touch, right? The cuddle party's good for that, right? The pajamas stay on at the cuddle party, right? That's rule number one, you know. And then you don't have to feel unsafe, right? With people, you can always say no.
I think for me, the reason I'm not drawn to those parties is like I only want to cuddle with people I'm attracted to. And I have weird taste, so it's not necessarily what other people would say is pretty or not pretty. It's just what I'm attracted to. I mean, I've dated girls that are over 300 pounds, so it's not I'm looking for the models. But
I get it.
but my point is, my point is, this is what I'm afraid of at cuddle parties. I don't want someone to want to cuddle with me and I have to tell them no because I'm not attracted to them, or say yes because I don't want to hurt their feelings and then cuddle with someone I'm not drawn to cuddle with. So I don't know how to get around that, so that's why I haven't gone to a cuddle party.
That's what a cuddle party is good for. You can work on saying no and not feel. You don't have to give a reason. You can just say no.
And theoretically, in an ideal world, everyone would be okay with a no. But I don't know that everyone's that evolved. And if someone's really drawn to cuddle with me and I say no, like just because it's a cuddle party, their feelings aren't going to get hurt. Like feelings are feelings, you know. I mean,
I think you need to look at that. Your reasoning there. You're in your head too much. You got to be in your heart.
Well, bring some Kambo to Houston.
Okay, we'll talk about that more. You know, you were talking as we're on relationships. This is interesting because, like, what I've been studying with my Tantra, and I found this to be true, is inside of everybody, whether you're born male or female, there's like 4 aspects. There's like your light feminine, your dark feminine, your light masculine, and your dark masculine, right? And the only way, so what most people do is they don't understand that, right? They don't understand their dark feminine or their dark masculine, especially those two. And then what they tend to do is to get into relationships to kind of get to know their dark masculine and their dark feminine, because they have that aspect inside themselves has a desire and they don't feel like they can come out with that, right? So then they look for partners that bring that out in them and mirror that in them. So the more you can get to know that inside yourself, then you don't look for that in a partner. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. So Brooke, you aren't looking for a partner at all. Are you looking for a partner, Johnny?
I've got a few right now.
Okay. And so any like what's the word I'm looking for? Primaries?
Yeah, there's one that's like right up there on the list that I've met recently. I don't know what that's just it. The whole fun is like just kind of seeing where this goes. And like I could easily like run away from this woman, like for like the me of the past would have, but I have to just see where this goes. There's an attraction, and I really have to see where this goes and how deep this goes. And I'd be robbing myself if I didn't.
Right on. Yeah, and I mean, I've thought that in the past that I wanted to be polyamorous. I've tried that in a relationship. It didn't work for me. I don't know where I'm going to land in that. I do think society is going to end up, when we evolve more, I think we'll all be more polyamorous. When we get oneness, where, like they say on other planets, everyone's married to everyone. So there's no envy, there's no jealousy, there's no property, their ownership. Like it just doesn't exist. I don't know how true that is, but I feel like we're going towards that. We're far, far off. And like Teal Swan says, it's still important to have monogamous relationships right here for most people on the planet, because it helps us look at our stuff, our shit, our mirror stuff, and accept, nurturing and care. Like, so that is the next step for most people on the planet, is monogamy. And then maybe eventually we'll all end up being polyamorous. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, John?
I don't know. I have that argument with Teal actually most of the times I talk with her. She's always interested like in what I'm doing. And then she says, the world's not ready for what you're doing. And I'm just like, I can't argue that, right? And that's
that doesn't mean you're not ready. I mean, the world's not ready. That's fine. It doesn't mean you're not ready. I do think that we all have our own little universe, like I like to say everyone is their own Neo and we're all responsible for saving the world. We all have a universe following us around. It's our universe, you know. So like, so you can live in that on that planet. That if you're ready for it.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, the average people, I really see, like, as you learn yourself, like polyamory can make sense, right? When you really see why those jealousies, I mean, you got to give it a try, right? You got to, I guess you don't have to. It depends what your life path is. But guys like you and me, Joseph, like where we've tried it, and you got to look at it, right? If something comes up, you got to look at it. You got to be authentic. You got to talk about it. And if you don't have people that are willing to do that, they're not the right people to do that with. And then you got to find somebody else that is, right? And you got to be willing to say no, right? And walk, and you got to define your boundaries. I have that problem a lot in the Tantra community. Like if I'm at a festival and this woman comes up, the first thing I do is like, what's your boundaries? And they say, I don't know. And I'm like, whoa, time out, you know? Because otherwise I'm going to be the next asshole that just wants to touch her vagina, right? You know, and her story. So, you know, if you don't know your boundaries or know who you are, that's like a big red flag for me. That's not somebody I want to play with, right?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I feel like my beloved is coming. I don't know who she is, but the intention I'm setting is that if she's mono, you know, if she's mono, then I'll be mono. If she's poly, I'll be poly. Like I'm okay either direction. I'm gonna have to do some working on myself if she's polyamorous. But I definitely feel that if I meet the right one, like I won't have these urges to go sleep with other women. I mean, I've always been a very faithful guy. Like I'm not a cheater. Like it just doesn't appeal to me. Like when I'm in a relationship and I start seeing other girls attractive, it means it's time to go. Usually it means the signs are, you know, it's usually time to go at that point.
Yeah.
So,
well, here's the thing I truly believe, Joseph, is we're all born with desires, right? Is when we stop looking at those desires. Like if you feel you got to turn off a desire for somebody else, that's a red flag. You have that desire for a reason, right? And it's the same thing with a partner. If you have a partner and she's got a desire, it's not my job to say, no, you can't look at that desire. It's my job to really support her to follow her desires, right? And not many men can do that. And there's another point you were talking about I wanted to comment on, but I can't remember it. Okay.
So can you tell us about some of the Tantra practices? Like where did you learn? What did you learn? Like what have you gained? What has your life gained from getting into Tantra as you have? Or is it do you say Tantra?
Yeah, I say Tantra. And what the style I'm learning is Tao Tantra, which there's really like classical Tantra, which kind of originated in India, which is more like yoga based. You get in touch with your body with yoga. And Tao Tantra is more like energy based, like using Qigong methods to get in touch with your body, which is more like who I am. So I do have like a morning Qigong routine that I do and that sort of thing to really be mindful of my energy. So, okay, so like the Tao is all about balance, right? So, I thought you froze. So the Tao is all about balance. So what I've really noticed and people that watch me and see what I do, what I kind of learned is that if you look there, like the Tao, it looks kind of like a medicine wheel where like at 3 o'clock is like security and 9 o'clock is freedom, right? And everybody is like on a sliding scale, like what we're talking about here. So like some people are really free and some people really need security, right? We all know people like that. But everybody is somewhere on that scale. What you have to do is you have to figure out where you are on that scale and then just authentically live that, right? And then when you authentically live that, then with the laws of attraction, manifestation of the universe, you just automatically manifest people that are that same balance point, and then you just have to accept it. Right? It's when people like that are free on the free side of it, like I need to give this up in order to be in a relationship. Now you're out of balance and it'll never work.
Yeah. I like that. I mean, that's basically one of my rules in finding, you know, the one is, you know, if I have to change, and I'm big on, you know, I know compromise and I know meeting in the middle, and I'm great at that. But if I have to essentially change who I am or what my desires are or whatever to be with somebody, then is that the right connection for me?
No, it's not. It's not true to your self-love. You have to be true to your self-love, and then when you are, you'll just people that are the same vibration show up, right? It's like all the friends that you like, right? Your old sleeping friends, right? That with sleeping like or like 3D Matrix kind of stuff, right? How they all just kind of disappear when you start to wake up, right? And then you replace them with 10 times as many enlightened friends, right? Just for lack of a better term. But the people are the same vibration as you. So I think if people that watch me and my YouTube videos and all that kind of stuff, I mean, they see like I pretty much am who I am, and that's who I attract in my life, and we get along great.
Beautiful. I like it. So, and you do recommend the book Multi-Orgasmic Man, right? For
oh God, yeah. yes. We had a discussion about this. I remember when I recommended it, it was like, well, they say you shouldn't come. And okay, let me talk about this for a minute. What was that?
Oh yeah. What the discussion about is I started reading that book. I was dating Natalia years back, and I started reading that book, and it basically was telling me I shouldn't ejaculate anymore. I should hold it all in, and I literally threw the book across the room.
Well, here's the thing, Joseph. Like, really, if you think about it, like the attraction point, the arousal is really the fun part, right? Like, I mean, it's fun to ejaculate, but like if you can get in a rhythm with a woman where like you get that attraction point, and then you just kind of build up that excitement with them, and then you can kind of slow it down a little bit and then relive that attraction point over and over and over. It's kind of like a surfer riding the waves, and you catch the next wave, and it's just as fun. It doesn't end. Like when I'm with a lover, I mean, we're like going at it for like 6 hours, 7 hours, right? There isn't like, we're not done in 20 minutes, right?
Is there a nap in that 6 hours?
Is there a nap? No. Well, there's breaks. You slow down and maybe you'll like talk. You know, you just kind of like you just kind of are in touch with that other person or other people, and then you just kind of see what the group energy is, right? And it could change. You might just start talking about something else, right? It's kind of like that. You remember, that's the thing that men have a problem with, because like men, it's like that diagram where it's like men's sexuality and that's an on-off switch. And then the women is like this big control panel with knobs and buttons and sliders and stuff like that. And most men really need to, and it's really complicated when you don't understand it. It's like, I'm just turned on, right? Well, you know, it takes a woman a lot longer to really get to that point, right? Especially for like penetrative sex. You know, it might take an hour and a half to really get her warmed up to the point where you can penetrate her comfortably, where she's really enjoying it. So you just kind of ride those waves, and you just kind of are mindful of her energy and just keep riding that wave. And it's enjoyment. You get your enjoyment watching her enjoyment. And as you start to, I shouldn't say that, you actually are mindful of your enjoyment as her enjoyment you build it together. So I don't know how to describe it. I mean, it doesn't make sense to like the average man who's like grown up watching porn and thinks you just bang women, you know. Yeah. It doesn't make sense to the average man that's grown up today.
Right.
I'm going to start doing workshops on this stuff. You know that? I got to. I've been like starting to see that clearly. I got to start like teaching men like what it really is to be like an awakened man.
Yeah. So you mentioned the book Multi-Orgasmic Man. Is there any other resources people can find online? I mean, how did you study it? Where did you go? I know you went to some workshops and stuff, but is there some? Yeah. What resource would you recommend people that want to look into this?
Oh man, I wish I would have. Maybe we can put some links later. I'm actually the teacher I've been studying with. It's Tao Tantric Arts, Tao Tantric Arts, as one word, and the woman's name is Shashi, and I totally love her. She like she's like a great balance, like you know, for like transmuting love and light kind of thing, where like Teal's like the perfect shadow worker teacher, right, kind of thing. It's a good balance for me to have teachers I love that are on both ends of the spectrum. I can get, like right now I've been looking more for a little bit different kinds of tantra. It's like I guess have people, I'm going to put more references on my website as I find them, especially for men. And because there's a lot of stuff out there for women, but not really for men. If you've like saw my latest YouTube video, some of the stuff I talk about, I'm just going to start talking about some of the things men need to talk about, right? The uncomfortable things we don't talk about.
Yeah. You know, from a health perspective, I've done a webinar on this, but it's my belief that there is a health cheat. I don't know what other word to use for it. That when we're in like a new relationship, we're like totally in love. There's the body is in a healthier space. Like for example, think about times when you're in, you know, that puppy love stage and you're just so in love with that person. You know, do you get sick? Do you get headaches? Do you get, you know, you don't get any of that. So I started looking at that like, okay, so if that's true, what if we can give the body pheromones and activate them and things like that? Would that be a backdoor to health? And it sure seems like it is. When we, you know, get into blending, like we've done a blending class where we did a romance blend and give everybody, and everybody's, you know, smelling different oils on themselves because the pheromones are activating differently for each person. And everyone feels just completely magical towards the end. So I think there's a lot, that's the word I was looking for. There's a hack to health that you can get to health through horniness, and that when you're in a healthy state, you're going to be more horny, and when you're in a horny state, you're going to be more healthy. What do you think about that, John?
I can't argue with that. It is healthy. It's natural, right? That's the one thing that society has told us, right? That like, especially like you're a married man and you like see some nice woman on the street and you're checking her out as she walks by, and all of a sudden the guilt kicks in, right? Oh, I'm married. I shouldn't be doing that. And like, no, you should appreciate that beautiful woman that just walked by. It's not like I'm going to try to have sex with her, but oh, look at that. Look at how beautiful she is, right? And the average man's taught like, oh, shame on me. Here I do it again. I'm a sinner. I looked at this woman's breasts, you know, and that's all a crock of bullshit. So yeah, I mean, really, that's what you kind of learn when in like Tantra. It's like, wow, that woman's beautiful, and then you take that energy and you like circulate it throughout yourself, right? That creative sexual energy, and you keep it inside of yourself, and it keeps you healthy. You know, like you look at some of these tantric women that I know at these workshops. There's this teacher. Her name is Sarita, and like she lived with Osho for like 26 years. And I'm looking at this like, okay, and Osho's been dead. And you do the math, and it's just like, holy crap, this woman's got to be like, you know, 60, and she looks like she's like in her late 20s. You know, she's just smoking hot. You know, and that's because they know how to circulate that sexual energy, right?
Nice.
It's what you're saying is absolutely true, Joseph, and unfortunately society and what we've been spoon-fed about what's right and wrong has really created a lot of the health problems in this society.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, we are all programmed with certain attractions, and like I know what you're saying about like we beat ourselves up for thoughts, because for me, I've never been in a relationship where I'm like, oh, I can't believe I looked at that girl. Like I've always allowed myself to look at that, but let's say I'm on the beach and there's a girl that's really hot, you know, in a bikini, and I'm looking at her, I'm like, oh man, she's so hot. And then she'll turn her head. I'm like, oh my God, she's 16. Like I'm a freaking pervert. Like, brain does not have a little switch that just like automatically turns off all the under 18 girls for us. You know, it's like for us, the same legs, like, so there's this like, so that's what I beat myself up over, is like looking at like teenagers and like, dude, you're freaking 40 years old, you know, get a hold of yourself. But that, you know, attraction is instinctual. Like it's not me, it's not a choice, you know. I mean, it's a choice to say, hey, she's 16, like stop gawking at her. Yeah, I can make that choice. That's easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, dude, ooh, who's that? Like, and then, you know, oh, damn, she's young. There's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head. I mean, really, there's like, you have to take responsibility for your actions overall in this life, whatever that is, right? I mean, you can look at somebody who's young and say, wow, that's beautiful. But yeah, you wouldn't act on it, right? I mean, but you can appreciate, wow, that's a beautiful woman. That, you know, she looks really good in that swimming suit, whatever. She's got nice legs, whatever it is, right? And just not act on it, but you can enjoy looking at her, right? There's nothing wrong with that.
Indeed. And I think, you know, I think often we beat ourselves up for our thoughts, and our thoughts are, you know, we can observe our thoughts and say, thank you for sharing. Like there's no, we're the observer of our thoughts. We aren't the thought. So I think that's an important realization, because like, oh my God, I can't believe I've just been, I've been so negative. Like I've been thinking these negative thoughts, and like, well, what is this? This observation of myself being negative is also negative towards myself, which, you know, so there's I think we can get to a point where we can observe our thoughts and be amused by them and say, thank you for sharing, without beating ourselves up over negativity, you know?
Yeah, that's part of that whole program, right? Like I did something wrong, right? No, even like things like, you know, I've been married and did things that people would say were wrong and stuff like that, right? No, it's really kind of created who I am today. Right? I mean, any of those, you could easily tell the story that I did something wrong, or I, you know, whatever, right? Why beat yourself up over it? It was definitely an experience I needed at that point in my life, right?
Yeah.
Who I am.
Take away one mistake that we've made in our life, you know, we wouldn't be here. You know, if I take away one mistake that I've made in my life, I wouldn't be doing this radio show with y'all. I may still have a radio show, I may not, who knows, but I wouldn't be right here right now if I take away just any one random mistake, even if it's tiny, you know, unless it was this morning, maybe. It alters, you know, things are always altered by your path. And so we are where we are because of our journey, and there's nothing wrong here. You know, like I like to say, the only thing wrong is the belief in wrong, and even that ain't wrong.
I totally agree. I mean, it's all colored by perspective, no matter what. And so when you're talking about the past, you know, your perspectives were colored differently at that time. I mean, but it's all, I mean, you can't have an up unless you have a down. You can't have a black unless you have a white. You can't have a human being unless you have both male and female. You see what I'm saying? So it's, I tell my mom this all the time, and never sinks in. It never sinks in. But it's like, you can't, opposites define each other, including negative and positive. I mean, my God, the world, the earth wouldn't even be here if we didn't have the gravitational pull, or the magnetic field created by the north and south, which is negative, positive, and creating the electromagnetic field. Anyway, so it's, I mean, it's, you can't, good can't exist without bad. So
no, you're absolutely right. And like my studying of the Tao, right? Everything has to be in balance, right? So you can easily say the evils of this world, right? And are in balance with the goods of the world, right? I mean, they both need to exist for this world to exist, and it serves a higher dimensions and all that kind of stuff. You can tell that story. But if you look at it, right, if there's something that you do not like, it's really not that what's happening, it's your fear of it, right? That's what really causes you the pain. I don't like that, right? And it's usually some kind of fear or something inside of yourself. So really the real path of is accepting that, right? And the more you can accept it, then the less pain and fear you have over it, and it really stops bothering you, and then you find your own freedom.
Yeah, I study with Landmark Forum Education, and they talk about how the two things holding us from our inner peace is our lack of integrity with our word. So get integrity with your word, and find out all the things you're making wrong in the world, and see how you're being righteous about that, and allow them. And it doesn't mean that, oh, I think molestation's wrong, so what are you telling me, to make it right? Is molestation right? Like, no, it's not about right and wrong. It's about removing both of those labels and allowing things to be as they are. And if we can if everyone on the planet, in my opinion, could instantly allow everything to be as it is, then everything would finally have the opportunity to upgrade. Because our resistance is what's holding all these war and molestation and all this stuff in place. Like a good example I would give is like, what happens when we find out there's a school shooting, right? So school shooting happens. Everybody sends pity and sympathy towards the family and the victims, horrible emotions, pity and sympathy both are not what I would want sent towards me. And then what do we do towards the shooter? Hate, anger, resentment, also horrible emotions. So something happens, it's not right or wrong, it just happens. And now we have all this spiral of negative shit. So the universe says, oh, there's still a lot of charge over this. There's a lot of resistance in place around these school shootings. We're gonna need a few more of them until these humans stop resisting it. And so the solution is love the victims, love the families, love the shooter. That's the hardest one. Send him love and not hate from a collective. And that, I think, would transform things uber fast.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And it's hard to do. And I can't say, like, if something happened to, like, my own children, I would be able to accept it or something like that. It would be the hardest thing in the world. Indeed. Right? And that's okay, too. I'm okay where I am right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And if something happened to my daughter and I have a strong reaction, or even if I go hurt somebody that hurt her, that's not wrong either. I mean, that's, we're humans, and that's what we're here for. But my point is, like, as a collective, we're in so much resistance, and everyone wants to change the world. And it's like, if we could accept the world as it is without needing to change it, I think it would help create automatically without us having to do a thing other than accept it.
Yeah. And actually, on one of my recent ayahuasca journeys, I got the insight to really see how the triumph and turmoil and everything here in this world actually benefits the higher dimensions where it doesn't exist. So there's a reason why it happens here and not in those dimensions, right? I mean, there's a bigger picture of how this balances all out, and I can accept that.
Nice. Did you have a comment on that?
On that, just, if I'm hearing you correctly, I think, well, in the higher dimensions, basically 3D, the third dimension being, density, that's where we need these good, bad, negative, positive, in order to be 3D in the first place. So I would think that that's why it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Or it exists in less form. As you go higher in the dimensions, it's, you need the.
I get the yin yang and stuff like that, but I feel that, we are in a place on this planet where we are going to have more love, and we're not going to have to, in other words, we're not going to have to, like, balance all the good with bad anymore. Like, we've been in a place where we learn from contrast. And I know that's not what you were saying. I'm just making the point, like, I think we've been in a place of learning from contrast and learning from what we don't want long enough. And I think we've evolved to a place already that we can get to what we desire by just desiring it, instead of life having to give us what we don't desire. So we say, oh, I don't like this, I want this instead, which is, I think, how we've been learning as a collective humans for a while now. And I feel that that's going away, and that we're going to not have to go through what we don't desire to get the desire for what we do want.
Well, I think it's like, okay, so with just the concept of ascension would be like, so prior to this awakening, which for me, my beliefs are, we went through a conscious upgrade December 21st, 2012, right? I follow the Mayan calendar. So from that point on, the balance went over towards the positive, right? And so now there's more positive than there is negative. And now the idea of, like, prior to that, those who would ascend would be, like craze, things like that. So they became like these bodies of light and lifted up into heaven and all that. Now we don't need that anymore. We can stay here within 3D density and yet still maintain the 3D form, without having to, like, actually disappear, but we can consciously evolve to a higher state.
Right. And as the earth ascends, if you look at those higher dimensions, it is a lot more accepting, right? So as earth ascends into, like, those higher realms, it has to be more accepting in order for it to exist.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that it was one of the biggest lessons for me on my spiritual journey, which, by the way, I ended a couple of years ago because I realized it was silly to be on a journey. I'm just going to live life. When I get clear on what it is I truly desire, everything in opposition to that has to come up for me to clear in order to get to what I truly desire. So when I start moving towards my bigger goals, it's going to feel like I'm going backwards. It's going to feel like every time I try to move towards it, like all these things happen and all this crap comes up and I have to deal with this and deal with this. And I'm trying to go over there, but this is on my plate now. Well, all that stuff on your plate needs to be cleared before for you to get to that other place. So a lot of times on a spiritual path, it feels like we're going backwards sometimes, and it's not. We're just having to process the shit that was in the way of us getting to that place.
Right. Because if you avoid looking at it, those lessons come back even louder and stronger next time. So if you're like, I got like 90% of it, well, there's still 10% of it left. The next time that comes around, that 10% comes back like tenfold, right? And it's even a harder lesson. That's really why these like lessons of these plant medicines are really valuable. They'll show you what you need to look at, right? And it's your job to really look at them. If you like, oh, that sucked, I don't want to do that ever again, well, that's your choice. But the lesson is still there for you to learn.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why some people have dated the same crazy person 10 times. Different versions of the same crazy over and over again. They keep getting the same lesson, and you're going to keep recycling it until you bring awareness to it. And it's a beautiful part of life. Like, it's resistance. There's juice and resistance. I feel like everyone here on Earth right now, when we were up, in between incarnations, they were like, Earth 2012 to 2020. We're bringing a planet into a new dimension and all this, and they're like, it is gonna be in fucking tense. Like, all the emotions on the scale will be experienced. There will be molestation and murder and war, which you have never seen before. We're like, fuck yeah, let's do it. Like, everyone here on the planet was like, yeah, baby, I can handle that. And everybody's like looking around like, damn, all the people that have their hands up are badasses. Okay, I'll go. Fuck it. So if I see all 8 billion people on this planet as ascended masters, which I believe they are, it allows me to allow them to live out their crazy ass scenario that they chose, their crazy ass dream. Like, I believe we're a bunch of crazy ass souls learning crazy ass lessons on a crazy ass planet. So with that belief, I can let you I'm not going to let you molest a kid in my presence because that's in my reality. I'm going to stop it. But I can let you, be in 5 bad relationships in a row without feeling the need to help you. Because your soul chose that, and hey, bravo for fucking picking a tough lesson, hey, high five.
Good lesson, man. Joseph
I don't know about that one, but I mean,
yeah, I'm not selling it. I was speaking from my personal experience.
I'm accepting it because you chose that.
Yeah, it's my shit. Yeah, that's the way I choose to look at it. So that's how it shows up for me. But it's different. Yeah, and I believe that everyone literally gets their own crazy dream in this, though, so that someone could believe that's completely untrue, and that's absolutely true for them. It's kind of like flat earthers, because I've studied flat earth, and I certainly can't prove the globe earth. I'm kind of in belief that both can be true. Like, could we possibly live on a globe and a flat plane at the same time?
Yes. Parallel dimensions.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I believe. I mean, I don't know what to believe in that regard. I know NASA's full of shit, but
now
anyway, that's a different show.
But there's also the inner earth as well. Different show as well, but it's a really cool topic. What do you call it? Mandela effect. Like, that's how that could be possible. You know about Mandela effect?
I saw it on a video last night. I would explain it for everyone.
See, simultaneous.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Nelson Mandela, when he died, well, first off, he technically died twice. Like, there's all these people with the same memory of Nelson Mandela's death while he was in prison. But then he gets out of prison. So you're like, how does that work? Then here's mine that just boggled my mind and got me really into it. Was, how do y'all remember the bears?
I've heard this one.
Okay, so what do you remember them called?
I don't remember either. It wasn't in my childhood.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't pick up either.
Well,
I mean, I remember seeing them, but it was gay.
Berenstein Bears. Berenstein with EIN, right? That's how most people remember it. But now it's Berenstain. Even the songs have changed. They call them. I'm sorry, this blows my mind.
No, it's weird. It's weird.
Crazy.
Look it up. And if you remember those bears, please share with us on Facebook whether you remember it being Steen or Stain.
Right.
Do you remember the bears, John? Do you know what we're talking about?
No, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm from Wisconsin, so when I hear the bears, I think about Chicago.
I think you, yeah, I don't know when they were big. I think you and I think they were in both of our childhoods, but I never really watched them. But anyway, at any rate, the story is most people that remember them remember Berenstain. And now all of a sudden, all the books, all the everything is Berenstain.
Oh, I've got a better way to put it.
And it's
Or to
weird.
show it.
It's like,
what did Darth Vader say to Luke about being his dad? What is that quote?
right, Luke, I'm your father.
Right. Not anymore.
In the movie? What does he say?
Even the movie has changed. It says, "No, I am your father."
It says no, I'm your father?
It says no, the Nelson Mandela effect. See,
I was okay with
it's
being in a
already
different
good.
dimension with the Bears, but if Star Wars is jacked up,
Yeah.
I gotta get to the bottom of this.
It's crazy. I love it.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy. So in the movie Star Wars, he says, "No, I am your father."
Yeah,
not
and
Luke,
one guy. So he was voice interpreter, not interpreter. He would mimic voices, right? So he studied that line from a VHS cassette over and over and over and over and over again. When he found out that the Mandela effect was happening with that, he went and he took this VHS movie tape and he was like, no way, because that's how I memorized it, right? And sure enough, it's changed. It's now called, or now said, "No, I am your father." Oh, look, he's looking it up.
Yeah,
That's really interesting.
these videos are all too long. I was gonna play a little quick clip of what he says, but these are all too long videos. I was hoping to find a little 10-second one. Huh, interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy what's going on with all that. And there are people I know that were into those Bears, and they're like, dude, I don't think it was Steen. I know it was Steen.
That's on me.
And none of the books say Steen now. They all say Stain. None of the old TV shows. There was a TV show, right? It was all Stain.
You can YouTube it.
It's like, it's almost, it's like, to me, it's like maybe, I believe this is a dream. I believe every part of our existence is a dream. So it's like, to me, we were ready as dreamers to know that this is a dream. And this is just one of those examples to say, hey, if you're awake enough to, be aware that this is just a dream, here's an example, okay? You can't argue with this. Millions of people agree there used to be this, and now you can't find any example with the E in that word. There's no books with the E. Everything was always the A. And it's like, wait a second, that's not where the dimension I grew up in.
Well, they're kind of, what they're thinking, it's not so much the dimensional change, but a small
Parallel
dimensional
universe.
change. Yeah, it's a alteration of timelines. So a lot of people jumped into a timeline where the timeline, they were called Berenstain rather than Berenstain.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's wild stuff. Okay,
Different
so we
Like
got
you said-
20 minutes. We got 20 minutes left. We did say we were going to talk about mushrooms and didn't talk much about mushrooms, at least.
I love mushrooms.
Yeah, mushrooms are a lot of fun, and I've actually been playing with a lot of legal mushrooms lately. I take some pills that have 12 mushrooms in them. Reiki, chaga, lion's mane is great for the brain. There's a lot of knowledge from the mushrooms you can get, even if you don't want to risk playing with the illegal version. I don't even know the state of how illegal that is to play with.
I have a card, so I can.
You can play with the mushrooms too with that
I
card?
mean, I can't. Yeah.
Do you want to show us this card or no? Or maybe you could just tell us where you got the card from.
ONA. Oakland Nueva.
OA.
And anybody can go get this. I'm not promoting it. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe you don't want to show your card if it has some number on it you don't want to give away or something.
Oh, no.
No? So it's, what are the acronym?
ONAC. ONAC. ONAC.
And what does that stand for?
Oakland Nueva Native American Church.
Associate member.
Associate member. So it covers, what you can. Ayahuasca, cannabis, peyote, mushrooms.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone wants, not everyone, a lot of people love to talk trash about religion, but religion's a great way to do whatever that crap you want. I mean, it's one of our only last freedoms. Like, if you want to do something you can't get away with, like not vaccinate your kids in school, form your own religion and say, my religion doesn't believe in vaccination. It's one of the only ways you can get around that freaking stupid ass vaccination crap that's coming through.
But we would never actually say, to go, basically for ceremonial purposes.
Right.
I would never do any of these outside of ceremony.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
I would. I mean, I'll admit, I've done mushrooms partying, and you know, it's not like I'm out at the club, but maybe I'm out in the woods at a fire or something. But I don't think I've ever done a mushroom ceremony. I've always just played with them.
We had a mushroom ceremony recently, but
I mean, you could argue that it's always a ceremony when you take it. It's like to what level? But yeah, I mean,
yeah.
And I'm not
I
arguing
would,
that I
like,
could have gotten
try.
more value if I would have done it more ceremonial. But
Well, I grew up
just
like,
telling the truth, I don't always do mushrooms in ceremony.
no, like growing up. I'm not even growing up, but in college, I lived out in Beaumont. I went to Lamar, and we rented a house, and it was on a mushroom field. The day I found out, I was thrilled. But yeah, it was an amazing college time. But that's my point is, yeah, I did it before, but now that I've gone into this, you know, it's just, to me, it's not a high, it's not anything, you know, to play with, but it's all for spiritual connection and spiritual purposes.
Yeah,
I say for me, I play with it.
Yeah, I've kind of noticed that these plants have like an intelligence, like you were saying. They really do. And they have ways that they want to be used and ways they don't want to be used. And the more you can respect the way they want to be used, the more powerful it will be for you and work with you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I agree. And I mean, I mean, I agree with that. And I agree with both of what y'all said. And I believe that, you know, if you take mushrooms, playing around with them, they're going to play around with you. Like they're going to, you know, it's going to be playful. Like it's not bad or wrong to do things as you're called to do them. Cause I don't believe in wrong. I mean, I'm trying to pants on if nothing is wrong. So yeah, I think if you're looking for value, like from your plants, like I want to get the absolute most out of this. Sure. Ceremony, all that, but it's okay to party too. I think, from my perspective, like it's okay to party. And I mean, there's distinctions here. Ayahuasca is not a party drug, you know, it's not a party plant, I should say. I think mushrooms for me could go both ways. Like you can do them to have fun out in the woods with friends, and you can do them in ceremony, and get value either way. Oh, I've left it on your reaction there, John. So I'll swap it back over.
No, I would agree, and I feel that way with mushrooms too. If you look at like how they're grown and everything, right? They just pop out in the woods everywhere. They're almost like inviting you to come play, right? Yeah. But like something like Mother Ayahuasca, right? The vine is a little bit different, right? So yeah, I think you just reaffirmed kind of like what I said.
Yeah.
You know.
And I mean, I also believe I did a YouTube called 10-second ceremonies. And I believe that as we evolve, you know, I'll speak for me. As I evolve, I've learned that mini ceremonies throughout my day can make my day go much cleaner. And like, if I take everything seriously and I'm aware of what I'm doing, even brushing your teeth, you know, making yourself some cereal, if you do that ceremonially, it can change the game. Like it can make life a meditation, like a walking meditation kind of thing. So in that regard, everything we do is sort of ceremonial, and so you can't get it wrong from that perspective. So I to myself so I can do whatever the fuck I want. I can use verbs and nouns to like justify pretty much anything that I want to do.
Yeah, I've got a good story around that, Joseph. I was at a Tantra festival in Sweden last year, and we were given the fun little task of feeding each other cake while they're blindfolded. And this woman fed me cake, one piece of cake over a period of like 20 minutes. Like she had it on each finger and was like putting it in my mouth. And honestly, that was like one of the most sensuous 20 minutes of my life, eating that one piece of cake. It was like a little cake ceremony. Like she was like grabbing my hair and jamming her fingers down my throat. And the next time she had cake on each of her fingers and like running at one finger after another into my mouth. And oh my God, I had so many energetic orgasms just eating a piece of cake, and I was fully clothed.
Nice. Indeed. And you know, the more I've studied health and nutrition and things like that, the more I've realized the importance of breathing. And if we just like pay attention to our breathing and take deeper in-breaths and out-breaths and focus on our breathing, it can change everything in our reality. Like, just, you can do a plant ceremony type meditation and have a really moving experience with breathing. I mean, I'm an energy worker, and I love bartering. So almost any new energy worker I meet in Houston or otherwise, I'll ask if they want to barter sessions, and often we do. So I've experienced a lot, and breathing work is the most intense for both experience and health. Like, it's fucking amazing. Like, your whole body is vibrating like Vipassana after yoga. It's just like your whole body's just like, oh, it's amazing stuff just from breathing.
I agree.
So at any rate, so we got 10 minutes left. I did want to talk about the plant I've been playing with most lately, moringa, because we're talking about plant ceremonies, and I feel like this is one of those plants that God put here for us to find. You know, like, it has everything the body desires to get us to get our health back. And I think it's an important distinction to say that I don't think moringa does anything to help the body with health. What moringa does is it gives the body all that it's been missing so that the body can do the repair work, you know? So like, moringa has the 92, nutrients. It has all the omegas the body needs, 3, 6, 9 in perfect ratio. It has 46 anti-inflammatories, 46 antioxidants, 36 anti-inflammatories, and all of the amino acids that the body doesn't make. And, the other 9, that there's 9 and 9, the body doesn't make 9, and there's another 9 we use, and it has all these amino acids. So it's like, when we give our body all of that, the body gives us often a really magical experience. So like, we have this feeling of euphoria, and it's like, no, the moringa didn't provide that feeling, but that's how we're actually supposed to feel all the time. We just generally are nutrient deficient in something, and our body's trying to tell us and give us some signs with a hurt knee, to look at this part of your life, or with cancer to look at this other part of your life. But when we give the body all that it needs, and I'm not saying moringa cures cancer, FDA, settle down. Like, that's not where I was going with that at all. What I'm saying is, when we give the body what it needs, the body can start to repair itself and give us, the body's going to reward us with a magical feeling, because the body wants us to give us that again. So I feel like it's a really valuable plant for people to learn more about, because nobody in the States was really marketing it until the company I work with came along. And so 99% of Americans have no idea what this plant is. Even nutritionists and dietitians, they just haven't heard of it. So, and I don't think it's some big conspiracy like some people think it is. I think it just wasn't, it's not, it's a plant, so you can't patent it. So pharmaceutical companies can't make a profit off of it. So the word just hasn't got out. The word's out in the Philippines and India and China, but the word in the States hasn't gotten out yet. So that's part of my mission here, is to spread the word on that plants and other plants. I play with, like the essential oils that we also play with, like frankincense. Frankincense is a ceremony on its own. Like, I can't use frankincense without going into ceremony. I smell it and I'm like, instantly, I feel like I'm in my own little church. Like, it smells like sacredness. So I think for me, it's really important for me to stay grounded and stay in ceremony, like I was talking about, to utilize the plants both with incense and diffusing essential oils, drinking essential oils, drinking different superfood smoothies and all that. Wheatgrass is a good example of something that can give your body a buzz, just because it gives your body something it's missing. So I'm big on utilizing all these different plants to give me that natural buzz. So you don't need, if you're not feeling you're ready for some of these plant medicines, or maybe you never want to do any of them, there's still ways to get amazing feelings, amazing buzzes from plants, because your body's been wanting to feel that way. And most of us, we think we're eating plants, but we're eating pesticides and chemicals and plants that generally are raped of the nutritional value they used to have. So we're wondering why we don't feel better, but we're feeding ourselves all these empty calories and crap food.
Yeah. Food is a really integral, you look at it, right? You put it in your mouth, it becomes part of you. That's a really intimate connection. So yeah, you want to put in high vibrational elements into your mouth to digest.
Indeed. And, and that being said, I do believe in the power of belief. Like Teal says, belief trumps everything. I believe that. So if I'm a water being, and water is a consciousness, and water is, a state of purity, And if my thoughts are clean and, you know, my temple is clean in terms of how I'm thinking, then my water being is clean, and my water that's inside my body is crystal consciousness, right? Then I should be able to eat anything. I should be able to drink poison and I'll be fine. My body will transmute it. I'm not recommending that, but you see my point. Like, if you get your body to that sacred space of being a ceremonial temple, then you could pretty much eat anything. And I do believe personally that, and I'm not asking you to believe me here, but I believe personally that all toxins are good in small doses.
I'm with Jill Swan on this one. You know, I mean, you're gonna hate me for this, but in the end, it's all from the earth. So I'm just kidding. I mean, I am kind of, but I definitely believe more on the thoughts and more fear-based. I feel like a lot of this pushing the green and this and that and organics and all this, I think it's fear-based, you know, but
yeah.
So
well, I think
not everything. Not everything.
Yeah. I think there's a slippery slope. Like when you start to study nutrition and you get into, oh, these are GMOs, these are bad, these are non-organics. I can't believe I'm eating a non-organic. And then you have to go to your girlfriend's birthday party and at the restaurant, it's not organic, so you have to eat this food. And then the whole time you're eating it, I can't believe I'm eating this poison. This is just crap. Well, what are those thoughts doing to your body, you know? What has it done to our poor Diet Coke drinkers out there that all of us Nutri-Nazis are out here talking about aspartame's a poison, it'll kill you, it'll give you brain cancer. Oh yeah, that's a spell. You know, that's witchcraft right there, what we're doing. So I guess from my focus as a health coach and a health activist is I want to push the positive, and I don't want to, you know, tell people what they're currently doing is poison to them, because I think that too is poison, you know?
Yeah.
Because if I convince somebody that their Diet Coke is poison, but I don't convince them to stop drinking it, I just made their Diet Coke a whole lot worse for them.
Good point.
Okay, so Johnny, we're going to close this up by answering a few questions.
Okay.
Let me refresh here. So the first question is, what is the legal status of Kambo? I guess we didn't cover that.
Yeah, Kambo's legal because it's an animal venom. So it's legal in all 50 states at this time.
Oh, Ross has that.
Laws against it.
And he says he's never purged by vomiting, only yawning and intense crying. Why do you think that is? I'll let both of y'all take a crack at that.
Any kind of purge is acceptable. I've seen people sweat. I've seen people yell. I've seen people cry. You know, it's all purging. Emotional purging is just as powerful as physical purging, depending on what you're working on.
I'm going to go with the same. I don't really know the answer with that. I know you had asked that the other Sunday night, and I cannot remember what Dave said. So
yeah, definitely nothing wrong here.
I do know that ayahuasca with the yawning, that's where you know it's starting to take effect. Like that's how, I don't know if y'all noticed that, but when you start looking around, people are yawning. That's how you know it's.
I
Going to the roof.
I burp a lot. When I drink ayahuasca, I burp a lot. That's a purge too.
Yeah. My friend Martin Velez, anytime he does energy work and stuff, he starts burping out stuff like awesome. You can tell, you can feel it's like some energy that he's letting go, and that's like his process. So it's really cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we're gonna wrap it up. John, I really appreciate your time. I cannot wait to see you. I actually can wait to see you, but I don't want to wait, but I will. Can't wait to have you here. So thank you so much for coming on my show. Been wanting to have you on for a while.
Thank you.
Bravo for kicking ass. And thank you for co-hosting. It's been fun.
I
wanted to have you on as well. So this has been a treasure. And I hope the YouTube video came out all right with us bouncing on and off. I think the feed stayed all right, so we'll be fine. But yeah, so if you want to get in touch with us, we'll probably create an event. You're saying for the new people that want to do group ceremony, it'll probably be less than 10. And it'll probably be about 3 days in Houston that we're thinking.
Yeah, that's what we'll shoot for. And I don't know, I realize that last weekend I'm there is Easter, so maybe we'll shoot for the weekend before the Easter or something to see if we can get some people together that are interested. We'll figure something out.
Cool. Yeah. So get in touch with John through his website. or reach out to me. You can Facebook message me is probably the best way to get me. I check even my messages from others to make sure I don't miss any from non-friends. Okay, I think that's it. Well, thank y'all so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining a ridiculous hour today. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to watch some weird stuff in the future. We've got lots of information on the moringa plant, the essential oils, other silly videos we've done. So please keep in touch with us that way.
On my Facebook page.
Yeah, and your Facebook page, we have shamans of the, what is it? Shamans?
Universal Shamans of the New Tomorrow.
Nice one.
So it's a closed group, but if you ask to join, then
will they be able to find it when they search for it?
Yeah, just search for Universal Shamans of the New Tomorrow, and you'll find us.
Cool. It's Brooke Tarrer, Tarrer. So thank y'all so much, and hopefully we'll do this again sometime soon, and we're gonna have lots of fun in Houston. So if you're not in Houston and you want to come to Houston, talk to me or talk to John. We can maybe find you a place to stay for cheap or possibly free. We have lots of hostel type community living houses and others that can put you up.
Yeah, Houston's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. All right, y'all, namaste.
Bye.
Much love. Take care.